This is a direct response to the numbers that we've been seeing. In the last 2 days, more than 100 cases reported each day. So all of those reasons combined, Dr. Ahmed made the announcement this afternoon. So the order about the schools, it goes into effect on Monday and it continues for the week, and it's for that week before the holidays. However, it could be extended into the new year depending on what kinds of numbers we see around COVID in the coming weeks. So students are going to have to leave the school buildings and head home to keep learning there. But this quick turnaround time is definitely presenting some challenges for school boards.
We've been scrambling quite a bit today to talk about how we're going to communicate this out, what kind of resources we need to make this happen, and what we can do to get our system ready to make sure that we have everything possible for our students and for our communities as we move forward into this next stage.
If the health unit feels it's necessary, it certainly must be. And we've got to, in this day and age, be prepared and be as flexible as possible to react on very short notice sometimes.
The biggest challenge right now is technology, because there's not enough devices to go around to all students. So that's something that both boards are working to remedy in the coming days. I also spoke with the president of the Secondary School Teachers Association locally, and she says that she expects the transition to be a bit rough, but she says that teachers will definitely understand the wisdom behind this decision.
Now, today, Ontario's medical officer of health was asked about the situation. What did he have to say?
Well, he says he understands why Dr. Ahmed is proceeding this way, and that's a combination of what we've been seeing in the community and also the number of cohorts that have had to be dismissed in schools. Dr. Williams says that this is different from what other regions are dealing with.
Other health units have not seen that in there, even in the lockdown zones of Toronto and Peel. Still the stringent monitoring, while they pick up a lot of cases coming in, they're not getting a lot of transmission within the schools. But there's a lot of kids, more and more children coming positive. When they track that back with some testing, it tends to be linked to family and family positivities and contacts in that area there. So others have not seen that same thing.
Thinking about family there, Kat, what are parents saying as they look to what they got to do next week?
Well, Chris, it's a bit of a combination of frustration and understanding. Frustration with the short turnaround time, but they understand given the escalation of cases that we've been seeing.
I don't know. I think it's probably necessary. Like, if you've seen the cases over the last few weeks, it just keeps going up. So I don't know. My kids, they were out of school for the first little while. They just went back in November, and I think it's probably for the best that they shut the schools down.
I prefer them to go to school. It's hard as a parent to try to teach your kids and then go to work and come back and do all that stuff.
We're expecting to hear tomorrow from the province whether or not we'll be going into lockdown. A lot of people expect it to go that way, but officials have not officially stated this. And Dr. Williams was also asked about this directly, and he did not hint which way things were going to go. However, as we've already told you, the health unit says that no matter what the province decides, more restrictions can be expected tomorrow as the health unit tries to get a handle on all of this. Chris.
Thanks for this, Kat. The CBC's Katerina Georgieva live today. And while Windsor plans to close its schools, they remain open in other areas of the province, even those that are already in lockdown. A biostatistician who works with public health units and also is a teacher says he hopes those other hot spots in the province will follow Windsor's lead.
Windsor has been at the top of the school transmission game for quite some time. It's because of Windsor, one school in Windsor that had 3 cases, and then they chose to test the whole entire school, and they found another 46 cases at the school. That was one of the reasons why we really pushed for asymptomatic testing in the other regions, and we found lots of cases. So I think Windsor has been at the forefront of this. They've shown leadership when it comes down to school transmission of the COVID-19, and I certainly hope that some of these other regions play catch up and do what the evidence supports.
As Kat told you, it's all happening as COVID-19 spreads rapidly through our community. Ongoing community transmission. That's why the health unit is closing down schools. They laid out how the virus is spreading throughout the community once again today with a third cluster of cases. It starts at Central Park Athletics, where people were playing a number of sports events like hockey games and the virus started to spread. There's more than a dozen cases linked to 10 different hockey teams, 12 positive players, and then 2 coaches who also tested positive. 16 people involved in that cluster of cases went to 7 different schools in Windsor-Essex, and that sent a number of cohorts home. 13 positive students, 3 positive staff members. Cases from Central Park Athletics played at other spots too, affecting 10 facilities, 6 arenas, 2 private training facilities, and 2 golf clubs. Now there's also several cases that are linked to a church. Overall, the cases come from 20 separate households, and as of today, 32 people in the community have tested positive in relation to this cluster. A young man is being remembered as an inspiration and a leader, his mom's best friend. 27-year-old Wang James died of COVID Monday. As Stacey Janzer reports, his family will continue to carry on remembering his big heart.
He's very, very good boy. I miss my dad a lot.
Through their tears, his family remembers how great a son and brother Wang James was. Napini, his only sister, says he was like a second dad to her and her 5 other brothers.
He was very generous. If we ever needed anything or someone to talk to, he would always be there. He was like our second dad, basically. Yeah. Him and my mom were really close. They were like best friends.
Wang loved his family, friends, and basketball.
We started playing basketball because of him.
2 of his younger brothers are now playing basketball for different schools. Wang played for Catholic Central High School after he and his family came from Calgary and originally from South Sudan. He played with a lot of elite players, one even making it to the NBA.
You know, his spirit was felt. I think he made a lasting impact on all of us. And, you know, I'm fortunate to have had him as a teammate and as a friend.
Mulder says his work ethic was unmatched. Even if he got to school early to play ball, Wang was already there working on his shots. He says his death shows just how deadly COVID-19 can be.
It really hits different for it to be someone so young, so involved in our community. You know, he's the guy, you know, if you went to runs, showed up at St. Clair, like Wang would be there.
Peter Cusimano was his high school coach. He says the 6'6" player was always in the gym with his 5 siblings.
So what happens is you spend so much time, you know, with the kids in the summer. We travel, become like family, and so it's hard.
Wang played the year they won the provincial championship in a pivotal moment for him.
Somebody was recruiting him, you know, because he wanted to play, so it was a big deal for him.
Wang will fire up to 3.
Wang was recruited to the Niagara Knights, then played for the St. Clair Saints. He was healthy, save for some hip issues. Before he got COVID, his sister tested positive. Her symptoms were mild. Wang was staying with friends at the time, so while the rest of the family was in quarantine, he stopped by to drop off food.
He was waiting at the door. We couldn't see him. We didn't let him come in because we didn't want him to get sick, not knowing that he himself was sick and suffering.
Wang went into the hospital on December 4th. He was induced into a coma after his heart stopped. He died December 7th, alone.
That was really hard because we didn't want him to pass, not like seeing him and being there with him, like him being alone was really tough.
His father lost his job the day Wang died. Now the family is trying to get the oldest son to come from Uganda, someone Wang never met, to be there for his funeral. Although he's gone, his family remembers him as someone who always wanted to help.
His kindness and stuff and his big heart, you know, because he had a really, really big heart.
Stacey Janzer, CBC News, Windsor.
A lot of love in that family there. A young person in their 20s dying of COVID-19, it sends a shockwave through our community. It's rare when we look at what's happening on a larger scale. The most current numbers from the Public Health Agency of Canada show that 14 people between 20 and 29 have died of COVID-19. 2 of them lived in Windsor-Essex, James and a 24-year-old man who died this summer after testing positive. He was a migrant worker on a farm. Overall, 89% of people who die from the disease are 70 or older here in Canada. Locally, our numbers match that trend, but we do see a higher percentage of our deaths in people that are between 60 and 69. 11% locally, 7% nationally. Let's take a quick look here at active cases according to Ontario's tracker. There's 557 people in Windsor-Essex who have a case of COVID-19 right now, 403 in Middlesex, London. You can see in Toronto the big spike there, 5,165 people dealing with an active case. Now, Ontario is reporting 1,983 new COVID-19 infections today, setting another record as health officials release the latest modeling on where things might be heading. Officials say one thing is clear tonight. The latest lockdown isn't keeping as many people at home. Lorenda Redikoff explains.
It's clear people aren't staying home as much as in the first wave, and data by the province today backs that up, tracking cell phone mobility. That lockdown also looked much different. Empty streets, schools closed, along with more businesses.
People are not staying home. They're more mobile, more active, going out and around.
Ontario's top doctor made this recommendation for the holidays.
I know there's that Christmas song, "There's no place like home" for the holidays. We mean home and stay home and in your household.
One doctor says the government needs to do more than make suggestions.
I think the government needs to make it easier for people to make the right decisions. The lockdown we have right now is completely different from the lockdown we had in Wave 1. And right now in Toronto, I can cross Steeles Avenue and go shopping or get a haircut or go to the gym. That doesn't make any sense. We need to lock down the Greater Toronto area.
The modeling presented today showed 4 different scenarios for Ontario a month from now. Remain where we are at under 2,000 cases a day, hit up to 2,500 cases a day with 1% growth, 5,000 cases with 3% growth, or much worse with 5% growth, close to 10,000 cases a day. The co-chair of Ontario's Science Advisory Table also added one other possibility.
If we see the type of explosive growth in infections that we saw at during the beginning of the first wave, at say about 9% growth, we'll see 15,000 cases.
We're in a very precarious stage here, and we have to really watch this carefully if we are not going to have to close some things further.
For Toronto, the cases with no clear link are much higher than in any other health region, 70%, suggesting tracking still can't keep up. The modeling shows that under all scenarios, ICU use will remain above 200 for COVID-19 patients for the next month. Today, hospitalization numbers all hit record highs for this second wave. There are now 829 people in hospital, 228 in intensive care, 132 on a ventilator. One doctor says many nurses are already off sick or unable to work because they're contacts with a positive case.
As cases rise, the healthcare workforce becomes more stressed and more strained, and there aren't enough people to actually take care of patients, irrespective of the number of beds that we have. And that's the direction that we're heading.
Today, some of the largest healthcare organizations in the province repeated their plea to the government to issue more restrictions and called on people to enjoy the holidays at a distance from others. Lorenda Redikoff, CBC News, Toronto.
The provincial minister responsible for colleges and universities is aware of calls to address racism at the University of Windsor. Minister Ross Romano says he has, quote, great faith in President Robert Gordon, saying he's been working with the community to create change, but some students say more needs to be done. Romano says there are actions the government can take if not enough is happening.
It's more critical than just messaging. It's ensuring that the governance structures and accountability structures at our institutions are ensuring that discrimination and hatred doesn't have a place on our campuses, are ensuring that the policies at the individual campuses are ensuring that students are learning in a safe and respectful environment.
The restoration of Assumption Church continues. We got to look inside today.
It is very meticulous. It all has to be hand painted.
Insulation work in the attic is complete. Replastering of the ceiling on the east side of the church is continuing. A leaky roof damaged portions of the plaster ceiling over the years. The roof was fixed last year. Now's the painstaking work of repainting the ceiling on the east side. The $1.5 million phase is expected to be complete by next Easter.
The painting is quite an extensive project because it involves restoring all of the stenciling, which is such a big feature of the church.
Now, when they finish the work on the east side, they'll head over to the west side. They're hoping to raise another $1.25 million to do that. This church was built back in 1845, but the historic parish dates back to 1728. The parish is also seeking a National Heritage designation. Another live look outside there as we try and enjoy a little bit of the warm weather that's made its way down to Windsor-Essex as we deal with everything that has been this year. Colette Kennedy is going to join us next with the forecast. Now, this week, we've been highlighting people in the community who are going out of their way to help other people. But this is a story not about people looking after people, but people looking after pets, about an Amherstburg couple and their dog, Eddie. It's a story that's so good, they wanted to write a book about it. So they did, and they're using it to raise money for a local animal rescue.
Hello, my name is Eddie. I am a friendly, loving little dog with a happy life in my forever home in Canada. It wasn't always that way. It was just a project that we just sort of kept joking about that, hey, we should have a book about Ed, and then the term Ed Ventures came up. You sort of see how he didn't have a very good life, and that's what a lot of these, animals, they don't have good lives. And then the second half of the book, he's brought up to Windsor, he's fostered, and then Lori sees this cute little picture of him on Facebook.
I happened to just be looking up rescues. I just happened to take a little peek and found his adorable little face, and right away made an appointment to go and see him, and within a month he was with us. There are a lot of dogs that are out there disposed of, if you will. The local rescues like Second Chance will go and pull 8 or 10 dogs, bring them up here. It can take up to 22 people to form a train of drivers to get a dog from Texas to Ontario.
They need funds for vet bills and that, but they also need fosters for people to take in these dogs who are basically street dogs and to sort of make them into pets. He was very quiet the first 6 months. And we were told that, and we didn't know if he would ever sort of blossom into, a dog with a personality, but, after a couple of years, he definitely has his own personality. And with the pictures in the storyline, you get to see that. In a lot of pictures, it just looks like he's laughing or laughing at you or, having a really good time. So with Eddie and his brothers and sisters, they came up together, went in different foster homes. And the great thing is they were all, now in their forever homes. And they're living their best lives.
Joining us now is Colette Kennedy. Ed is adorable.
Absolutely. I mean, my step-grandmother had a dog named Fast Eddie, but not quite the same as Ed and his adventures. I do love that. And I'm a huge advocate, Chris, of adopt, don't shop. So I love everything that they're doing there. That's a really cool story.
No, a good story that became a book. Why not, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I know. We could all write. I could write a book about my Tia, but you know what? For now, I think I'll stick to the weather. And let me give you that. Their current temperatures, 3 degrees for Windsor, Chatham-Kent at 4, Leamington up to 6 today, but Windsor made it to 8. Yes, we got to 8 degrees there with our daytime high. So really saw things getting just a little bit warmer there. And also, as we look ahead to what's going on here with the cloud deck, we've got a bit of fog that's going to develop tonight. And as that fog gets a little bit thicker, we'll see some areas where it's going to be stubborn. And tomorrow morning, we could have some issues then with kind of the reduced visibility, maybe the roads, things being a little bit slower. Though we don't actually have the advisory here, it's well off towards the northeast of us where we're looking at some of that thicker fog and even a bit of black ice. But I just want you to be aware for that potential here. A little system that's sneaking through to the north, that's not the one we're going to focus on. We're okay through the day or a good portion of the day on Friday, but the system we're going to watch is the Texas low that's going to be moving in here. And we'll see for now just special weather statements that have been issued by Environment Canada. But it does look like there'll be an area through here with some freezing rain or ice pellets, primarily a rain event for southwestern Ontario and closer to the shores of the lower Great Lakes, but could see some winter storm warnings, snowfall warnings, that kind of thing possibly coming into play, or at least freezing rain warning as the system gets closer and we really see what the tracking is. But for now, it's going to slide far enough north that I think that's where anything kind of significant in terms of snowfall is going to happen, and that's why we just have to contend with the wet conditions. So not dealing with that tonight and looking pretty good. We'll see the clouds kind of coming in and getting heavier, denser as we go through the day on Friday. And then it's going to be Friday night, developing first as some showers, and then we will get into a little more of an intensity to that rain, a steadier, heavier rain, especially early in the day on Saturday into midday, and then it pulls further east. And as it does, we will see our temperatures start to come down too. So some of the milder air that we had in place, we're going to be losing that as we go into the second half of the weekend. We'll probably be warm Sunday and then the temperature falling off through the day. Some dense fog patches, areas of that. That's why I want you to have that extra time for tomorrow morning's commute, or if you have to be on the roads in the overnight hours, take it easy. Our highs for tomorrow up to 8 degrees, and then Saturday, that 10 that I'm taking us to, we'll see if we get those double digits, Chris, but then the temperature will be falling off.
No, we get up there, but we've got to pay for it a little bit, but that's fine.
Yes, we do. We always have to pay for it.
That was another way. Thanks, Ms. Colette.
You're welcome.
Now, coming up, we're going to take a look at something that will be different this year, Christmas services, and how some churches are shifting things. Some churches in Windsor-Essex have decided to hold all Christmas services online this year. Even though religious gatherings are currently allowed with certain restrictions, they want to avoid any chance of spreading the coronavirus. Reverend Robert Clifford, the priest in charge at All Saints Anglican Church, made the announcement through an open letter he sent yesterday. He says he's sad to do this, but the Christmas spirit is still alive.
That yes, folks are beloved by us and by God, and that we hope that they will honor the restrictions that public health and the smart people we're all relying on to get us through this, their requests.
You know what? The church is a 200-year-old building. The church is also right here. The church is right here in my little spare bedroom. And if it's what we have to do for everybody to be safe, then it's what we have to do. It's fine. We will be fine.
And that's it for us here at Windsor News. Don't forget, for any news you missed or that you want to get more updates on, you can go to cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching.